I think the first thing I'd just like to say is thank you to really all of you for being on the front line, fighting this fight day after day. I'm truly grateful. I watch from afar, and you are a source of daily inspiration to me and my mission. So thank you for that. I'm not quite sure how an eighth grade dropout is the one standing here in this particular room. I'm much better at listening. So please excuse any nervousness, but my evolution in the educational world has been quite a journey. And I think if I had to sort of pinpoint where it all started, it probably started with my own childhood and my father, who didn't care at all about education. Certainly didn't want me spending time or wasting time with education. He wanted that time spent on the tennis court. It's who he was. It's the only thing he ever cared about was tennis and the hopefully future success of their children through it. We had a simple rule in our house: wake up, play tennis, brush your teeth, in that order. Matter of fact, if I could go back in time, say 30 years, and fast forward to this moment and show my dad that I was speaking to a few thousand people responsible for the future of our education in America, he would simply say to me, "Andre, I told you if you stop listening to me, your tennis career is going to go in the shitter." So, which is right. But my lack of choice growing up led to a real significant disconnect in my life and my experience. And I promised myself at a very early age that if I experienced any success whatsoever, that I would do my best to help children who have no choice in their lives, where their fallback isn't to be a great tennis player, where unfortunately their result of no choice ends up in gangs or a prison system, or not breaking the cycle. So when I did sort of start that success, I started my foundation. And my foundation helped children in a lot of different ways: closed them, after-school programs, shelters for abused, abandoned kids. And I started to really realize that I wasn't solving any problems. I was sort of sticking Band-Aids on real issues. I wasn't creating systemic change. Maybe in a worst-case scenario, I was even creating a level of dependency. And it was right about then that I saw on a 60 Minutes piece a piece on KIP, Knowledge is Power program, and I watched Michael Feinberg and Dave Levin rolling up their sleeves, getting into these children's lives and giving them the tools to change their own future and giving them the future of their choosing. And that was a big epiphany for me, quite frankly. It was the moment that I said, I have to set about the Herculean task of building my own K through 12 public charter school in the most economically challenged area of my hometown of Las Vegas. What most people don't realize about Las Vegas is we're actually the 5th largest school district in America, and we're 50th in kids that we put into college. So my hope was simply to prove to myself and everybody that children don't fail us, but we can fail them if they just have the chance. That I think they'll be able to do it. It was hard going, as you all know. Running a school isn't easy business. I made a lot of mistakes. Very thankful I could outraise many of my mistakes, but I applied for my charter, and then I decided to take out a $40 million mortgage and start with that burden on my shoulders. And I assure you that Ambien is no match for a $40 million mortgage. It was also difficult between teacher turnover. It was difficult spending all the time bringing these children back up to speed, all the time you spent in intervention just to give them a fair playing field. It was difficult doing a lot of it, but the most difficult part, quite frankly, for me was I had about 12 to 1,300 in my school, and I had more or less 3,000 on the waiting list. That was really hard for me to live with. In the world that I come from, that makes me twice the failure that I am the success, and had to figure out a way to scale, had to figure out a way to do it, hopefully sustainably. This wasn't an easy task, and I thought about it through the legislation system, that maybe in this state I could trickle down some changes that might impact the public world a little bit, move us from 50th to 48th. Gave up on that pretty early. Wasn't going so well. I had a lot of people that came to me with private wealth that wanted me to do a school where they were from. I realized at that moment that I'm actually not an operator. You know, I'm not a facilitator. It sort of begged the question, what the hell am I if I don't do either of those things? And I realized that I was a facilitator. I just facilitated a dream and a hope that I had for the future of these children's lives, and I was able to parlay that into a lot of support and a lot of people that knew what they were doing over time. But with that reality came the fact that I couldn't really figure out a way to scale. And then sometimes it's better to be lucky than good in life. I got an unexpected call, a cold call really, from my future partner, Bobby Turner, who endearingly calls it a very, very warm call. But he had a way in his own mind to really scale, because he read my book and he shared my passion for education. He also shared my frustration. And with that, on that phone call, he told me all the things I really knew and had lived. Told me to end a whole list of things that he was telling me was that the greatest impediment to the growth of great charter school operators across our country is not the software, it's the hardware. It's actually the facilities themselves. And living with a $40 million mortgage, he was preaching to the saved. No question about it. He then told me what he did with PCSD, Pacific Charter School Development Corporation, where him and Glenn Pierce cobbled together $40 million of philanthropic money. And they built these schools for great operators in the Southern California area, about 37 of them, 15,000 seats. And they would build these schools, and then they would help them after they stabilized, after they had educational success. They would help them refinance through tax-exempt bond market, create some cheaper cost of capital, and buy back these facilities, you know, to sort of break even and recycle this money. And it worked really well as far as I was concerned. I had one school, he had built 37, 15,000 seats, 35,000 children on his wait list. So he wanted me to come to LA and meet with him and Glenn Pierce and really discuss, okay, is there a smarter, better way to do this? One of the most fascinating meetings of my life. Sat there with a very simple, great business plan, and it was simple. It was a simple idea. Let's attract market rate capital to address the infrastructure issue of facilities. Unlike philanthropy, which is limited, market rate capital isn't. Let's put together a passionate team of professionals who have a great deal of charter operation and board experience. Let's partner with the best-in-class operators to build environment-friendly and educational facilities. Let's be a turnkey operation, enabling all of the operators we work with to focus on instruction instead of construction. But most importantly, let's differentiate ourselves from traditional landlords and empower the operator to purchase a school back after only a few years of stabilization and academic performance. Simply put, our mission is to help operators attain most optimal long-term financing so they can have their campuses, own their campuses, reduce their occupancy cost, and build equity over time. It took me about 3 months to decide to do this. I had spent my entire life being a philanthropist, and still am. I raised $185 million of philanthropic dollars and have a thriving foundation that I can designate and really strategically apply to the specific needs in the space. But I'm proud to sort of stand here today and tell you that in just 3 to 4 years, with this model that we went out and we sold to real like-minded investors, that we've built 64 schools across the country. We built 34,000 school seats. And we've done it in the most populated and ethically diverse communities in America, which quite frankly is more seats and opportunities than all nonprofits, including mine, that have built over the last 25 years combined. I mean, listen, there's always a place for philanthropy, 100%. It's so important, just for even hope alone. But I've learned firsthand that philanthropy ends when philanthropists run out of money. You know, philanthropy ends when philanthropists redesignate, redirect what their interest, what they're focused on. If you want to treat a problem, it's certainly a good way to do it. In curing it, it has to be out of the box. And the one thing I also realize is that philanthropy doesn't build the buildings. It doesn't. So being a facilitator my whole life, we've figured out how to facilitate for you because I tried to reinvent the wheel. I don't know why. It took me a lot of years to realize that's all I was doing. But I can be a tool for you, and we can partner together and really do this in a way that can have huge sustainable impact. There's even better news than the $550 million that we've been able to deploy over the last 3 to 4 years. We're sitting on close to $1 billion now in our second go-round. That's 100 more schools. That's tens and tens of thousands. Now, it's not the solution to our needs. All of you are here because we're exploring what our solutions can be and how collectively we can solve for real daunting societal issues. But it is a part of it. And I'm proud to spend this time with you. And I think it's important today that we compare notes like we've been doing. I think it's even important that we take stock in what we've done and, quite frankly, even feel great about it. That's good. But tomorrow, we all need to hit the ground running. We need to double down on our efforts, not because we have to, but because we get to. It may seem sometimes that the needs in this space is overwhelming, but I believe so is our resolve. I also believe we can outwork, we can outsmart, and outlast the challenges that so many of the children we're helping face. While their oppression can be thick, I believe that there is enough love in this room to help dissolve it. So thank you for everything you do, and count me in to be your partner in any and all of it.